He said something about extraterrestrials in the opening, and I'm not sure that they're extraterrestrials, okay? They could be extra-dimensional beings crossing over from the second heaven into the first heaven, which is here on earth. You know, Paul talks about three heavens, right? And he talks about how he ascended to the third heaven. But in between there, and there's discussion about where these fallen watchers may lie. It may be that they're not in the second heaven at all, or the second heaven may be what's called the maroon. It's possible that they're in one of these places. But if they're in that kind of a situation, you're talking about a cross-dimensional being rather than an extraterrestrial. Now, there's a difference because, of course, in one, you have this concept that they came from another planet, or they came from another solar system, or they came from another galaxy, a galaxy far, far away, something like this, right? As compared to the idea that the watchers were here, present, but lingering in a dimension that we can't perceive. This idea of Elohim, right? We have the sons of Elohiym, the Beni Elohim. But Zechariah Sitchin's taught, and the History Channel reiterates, that Elohim is a plural word meaning gods, Therefore, when you look at Genesis 1:1, Bereshit 1:1, Bereshit, bara Elohim, et hashamayim ve'et charetz. When you look at that, you see this Elohim in there. The quick construction is, the gods created the heavens and the earth. Well, that's a rudimentary understanding of the Hebrew and does not correctly reflect what's going on, and it's not a well thought out position. And to say that these aliens came to Earth and then seeded with some subprimate and created human beings which are somehow less than these Elohim, that's not what Paul says. Paul says we will come to judge the angels, right? Paul says we will come to judge the angels. David says, ye are Elohim. Mashiach says in the Gospels, haven't you read, ye are Elohim, right? This is what's in the Gospels. So when you see these kinds of remarks, to try to say, the Elohim were these space aliens, disregards a whole raft of Scripture and disregards the truth of the statement. Now, there is some disinformation that's floating around right now. And again, I'm going to call it disinformation because the information is being brought forward by someone who does not have a conspicuous confession of faith in the Messiah. And I'm just going to tell you, I look for two things really in someone, which is, do you have a conspicuous confession of faith? That is, do you bear the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach, which is the spirit of prophecy, and are you guarding his commandments? If these two things are absent in a prophet's voice, or in a prophet's teaching, or in a teacher's teaching, or in a leader's teaching, if those two things are absent, then I have a question concerning the validity of the worldview that's being brought forward. If you don't accept these premises, you're going to miss fundamental truths. For instance, the concept that is taught in the universities over and over again, and is the foundation of all modern science, is this, the premise: assuming there is no creator, we have concluded there is no creator. Logically, perfectly sound. From a truth point of view, vacuous. And so if somebody is holding the assumption there is no Mashiach, or we're waiting for the Mashiach to come because he hasn't been here yet, well, I don't trust that person's prophecy at all. I don't trust that person's worldview at all. But right now, there is a proposition going on that NASA has revealed photographs of Giza, of the Giza Plateau, which shows emerging Hebrew writing that has been emerging since 1996 in the plateau, pointing to the return of Abba, or Elohim, who looks like a long-skulled alien. That, in my opinion, is unbridled propaganda. Because again, when you're talking about this idea that the large skull, the Indiana Jones crystal skulls, right? Those long skulls that they had. You're talking about them saying these guys were the creators of mankind on Earth, and that we're just some cross between them with the long skulls and the primates like chimpanzees on the Earth, and that we're some in between point. I don't believe that's true. Not even for a second do I believe that's true. I believe that what's going on here is a manipulation that is preparing the world for what is going to appear as an antichrist, which very likely is going to be one of these Nephilim, okay?